Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News today, 6th June 2022. To present the news, I am Zipora Mushala. The headlines. The Anti-Corruption Commission urged to clear bad public perceptions. LUSAKA'S ZINGALUME residents lament over road dilapidation. We take a break. Join with the details soon after this.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the.
She has so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow.
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Welcome back, and now the news in detail. Residents of LUSAKA'S Mwembeshi Ward 31 in Chunga compound of Matero constituency have bemoaned the poor state of the Chunga ZINGALUME road. Speaking to Camnet News, the residents say the road was last worked on in the last 5 years. They have since called on authorities to work on the road, which they say has been inconveniencing motorists and other road users. More in this report.
One might think rainy season is still on, when in fact not. Poor road network and lack of a proper drainage system in Lusaka still remain a challenge. This is Lusaka's Chunga and ZINGALUME compounds in Matero constituency, where the Chunga ZINGALUME road in Mwembeshi Ward 21 has been in a terrible state for some years. Residents in the area explain that the road has not been worked on for over 5 years and becomes impassable, especially during rainy season.
Okay, so chanitipempa kumanga kudana kaimba kutoka ku road kwati pa roundabout mbofika kuno. Chanitanda wako na road chabya. Nditipempa kwa bakansela batyanganeko because my business yabwera down tipe kwanitinga kali na help. So at least wakatipangira ku road. At least vantu zangu bwera kumjamai kaba kutwa kula kwa batifu.
Kwanisa kufika ambili mamoto bako. Nero gari kuti bonse binaendelea ya mamoto bako.
Some public transport bus drivers explained to this reporter that governments have come and go, but the state of the road has not seen any facelift. They attributed the poor state of the road to lack of commitment to resolve the problem from the relevant authorities.
Simona moto kati tiru insurance plus road tax bonse timasukira manje mamoto kati onongeka aona ka so stizo manje government vaza tanzira road yapi ZINGALUME stizo manje president manje vaza ganzira kapena ma ministers vakuno kapena ku MP kapena ku ndani kapena ku kansela kuno lafa kansela kuno sama pitako za tona pa utona.
But when reached for a comment, Mwembeshi Ward 21 Councillor Crispin Kabole's phone went unanswered. Roads make a crucial contribution to economic development and growth and bring important social benefits. One only hopes the road will be worked on to ease the movements of the people and the motorists. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia has encouraged Pentecostal members in the country not to be ashamed of their doctrine amidst the rise in the number of religious doctrines. EFZ Executive Secretary Bishop Andrew Mwenda says Pentecostals should hold the Bible as the final authority and respect its teachings. Meanwhile, Pentecostal Holiness Church Conference overseer Dr. Harrison Daka has called on congregants to know how to control their temper. More in this report.
Congregants from Pentecostal Holiness Sunday gathered at the House of Prayer and Worship Center in Lusaka for the Pentecostal Sunday service. The service, which was to be graced by Zambia's Vice President Mutalena Lumango, was however graced by the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, who took time to encourage congregants to uphold their doctrine in high esteem, even as many religious doctrines are evolving. Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia Executive Secretary Bishop Andrew Mwenda, who was guest of honor at the church service, also reminded the congregants on what Pentecost is all about.
Be proud about it. Let's be proud about the baptism of the Holy Spirit. If they say to you, Bagachongo, you are making noise, let them know. This noise shall give birth to souls. We are evangelical in doctrine. That means we hold the Bible as our final authority.
In Pentecostal Holiness Church Conference, Overseer Bishop Harrison Daka also encouraged the congregants on the importance of being filled with the Holy Spirit.
From 1992, 6th January, I have never lost any temper, and I don't know how to lose any temper. Hello? Amen. So when I see people getting mad, I just see the absence of the Holy Spirit.
Meanwhile, Pentecostal Holiness National Overseer Dr. Crispin Zulu took time to pray for the country and its leaders.
We want a Zambia that is filled with the Holy Spirit. A Christian nation like Zambia may never survive without the influence of the Holy Spirit.
And Reverend Anderson Davidson gave a sermon where he encouraged the church to remain in the Lord and abide by God's words. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Anti-Corruption Commission ACC has implored members of the general public to utilize the Whistleblowers Act of 2010 by reporting suspected corruption cases. The Republic of Zambia enacted the Public Interest Disclosure Act, also known as the Protection of Whistleblowers Act, in 2010. And ACC Acting Director General Silumesi Muchula says people should make themselves familiar with the Act in order to contribute in the fight against corruption. More in this report.
The Republic of Zambia enacted the Public Interest Disclosure Act, also known as the Protection of the Whistleblowers Act of 2010. The Act provides for the disclosure of conduct that is harmful to the public interest in both the public and private sectors. But most people are not aware of this law and other avenues that exist to report graft cases while being protected by the law. A few people, especially those with political interests, have taken it upon themselves to report corruption cases, but Anti-Corruption Commission Acting Director General Silumesi Muchula has appealed to members of the general public to be reporting corruption cases by using provisions of the Whistleblowers Act.
It's important to realize that there's a Whistleblowers Act which empowers people out there to come and make reports to the Anti-Corruption Commission. And this Whistleblower Act has certain provisions that assure these people who bring reports to the Anti-Corruption, it assures them of protection. In fact, our appeal as an institution is to encourage members of the public to come forth and report. Sometimes you can report without having to disclose your name. There are provisions of that nature. Okay? So please, the issue is let's report this vice wherever and whenever it happens.
Meanwhile, a political scientist, Professor Bizek Piri, has advised the Anti-Corruption Commission to detach itself from any political interference in order to win the public confidence.
You hear a lot of people being removed, being replaced, and so on and so forth, because they are associated or perceived to be cadres of a party that is now out of power. But what we require to fight corruption is to have people that are professional. They just follow the professional ethics, do their work. They don't need to be dictated to. They don't need to worry to say, no, if I don't do my work professionally, I'll be removed. If you are a professional person, do your work professionally. That is what we need. So that at the end of the day, you are saying, I'm serving Zambia, not a political party.
We also spoke to Transparency International Zambia Executive Director Maurice Nyambe, who advised the Commission to focus on awareness creation and openness in a quest to curb corruption.
Because you will agree with me that right now the SEC, and this is not to speak for the SEC, but the SEC are actually grappling with a big problem of negative public perception. There is a school of thought that thinks that the SEC are not doing enough, they are not effective enough, and I think when you see things like this happening, then they feed into that narrative. And so the big job that they have as a law enforcement agency is that they need to open themselves a bit more in terms of even raising awareness through the media, through public events and things of that nature, so that they can begin to endear themselves a lot more to the public. Because until the public understands the processes that they are involved in and the challenges that they are facing, then it will be very difficult for them to appreciate the work that they are doing.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has disclosed that it is currently revising environmental impact assessment laws in order to make them receptive to the emerging environmental challenges. ZEMA Manager Environmental Assessments Constantino Mwembela says the draft legislation is currently under the Ministry of Justice. Mr. Mwembela says some of the proposals include the need to revise the fees and time frame when conducting EIAs. More in this report.
The Kazungula Bridge is a road and rail bridge over the Zambezi River between Zambia and Botswana at Kazungula. The 923 meters bridge with 2 border facilities on either sides is not only a win for both countries, but it also contributes to integration in the Southern African region and illustrates development cooperation. Most of all, the bridge demonstrates why it is important to undertake an environmental impact assessment (EIA), which is a systematic investigation of conditions within the environment of the proposed development or project, followed by an assessment of the impacts that the development project will have on the environment in its totality, such as physical, biological, and socio-economic aspects. On 5th June annually, the global community comes together to highlight some environmental challenges and dissect possible solutions by commemorating World Environment Day, and the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, used the occasion to highlight the importance of conducting an environmental impact assessment before any development is undertaken. Friday Piri is ZEMA Corporate Affairs Manager.
For this structure to come up like this, there's a lot of work that ZEMA undertakes in the background before a structure like this one is built. And there's a process which you are very much aware of. It's called the environmental impact assessment. And so there was an environmental impact assessment that was undertaken for this marvelous structure to be put in place between the 2 countries, or is it actually not just the 2 countries, because on the other side here there is Zimbabwe, there is Namibia on the other side, and then there is Botswana.
And Zambia Environmental Management Agency Manager Environmental Assessments Constantino Mwembela disclosed that they are currently revising environmental impact assessment laws to make them responsive to emerging challenges.
You may be interested that the agency has begun a process of reviewing the environmental impact assessment laws, and we hope in due course we will have the laws that will speak to the current happenings. That revision has reached an advanced stage, and as we speak, I think it's with the Ministry of Justice, and certain concerns of the public have also been taken care of through that new piece of legislation, such that for smaller projects, I think there was concern on the review fees. There's some proposal that those review fees also be reduced, and there was also some complaints in terms of how long certain projects take. So I think some of the considerations that have been made is also to reduce the time frame. But until that law is enacted, for now, the SI 28 of 1997 is what we are using.
He also reminded developers to always adhere to the requirements of the environmental impact assessment recommendations in order to protect the earth for future generations.
We want to preserve this country for future generations as well, and I think that's the main objective of sustainable development. It's also for the future generations. So our actions now have to take into consideration future generations, so that they too can benefit from this one planet that we have, one earth, and that requires that we undertake our activities in a sustainable manner.
Zambia, the World Environment Day will be officially marked on the 6th of June 2022 in Mumbo District. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
We now come to the end of the news. Let's take a look at the headlines once again. The Anti-Corruption Commission urged to clear bad public perception. LUSAKA'S ZINGALUME residents lament over road dilapidation. So this is where we come to the end of the news. This has been Zipporah Mshala. Do stay tuned in to Camnet TV and have a pleasant day.